Hey guys, it's Matt here with another episode of Costa Rica Crypto, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to John Heater from Boid. And if you don't know about Boid, you're going to know about Boid. It's one of those really, really interesting projects that's coming up on EOS that's really grabbed my attention and the attention of a lot of other people out there. So I want to kind of kick it off and send it over to you, John. Why don't you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself? Where did this vision come from? And how did Boid come to be? How did you get yourself into this mess?
Cool. Thanks a lot, Matt. Really appreciate you running these interviews. I've really enjoyed a lot of your previous content. So I'm hoping your viewers will kind of learn some interesting things they didn't know about Boid if they're already interested, and also it'd be a good intro for people that have never heard of it. So basically, I had the idea for Boid back in like 2015, and I've actually been working. My first startup was kind of in the direction of where I'm going now. So I've been kind of working up to this concept. I've built multiple prototypes and alphas and all these kinds of things. And Boid is kind of the culmination of all of these kind of past few years of experience. And the biggest problem that I saw kind of like when I got involved in the blockchain space was basically how it's all like, the Satoshi white paper, it says one CPU, one vote. That was the vision. And that's what everyone believes in, this concept that there's no central authority and we can all participate. And technically, that is true. Anyone can run a node, anyone can mine, all these kinds of things. But in the real world, when it comes down to it, there's just significant technical hurdles. There's political issues. There's all kinds of reasons why most people don't know what cryptocurrency is and don't care. And most people that do have never even participated in running these networks. So that's what Boid is trying to change. Boid is trying to change both of those things. So we make cryptocurrency more accessible to a general audience. So basically anyone, if you can log into Facebook, you can log into Boid. That's the vision there. And you don't need to know anything about cryptocurrency in order to get started. Kind of like Steemit was a big inspiration for that kind of thing. And then if you already are into cryptocurrency, it'll allow you to kind of interact and engage with these existing communities in really, really incredible new ways that you previously didn't have the technical know-how in order to participate.
Sure. So, and I was lucky enough, full disclosure, like I always do, I was lucky enough to slide into the public alpha that Boid has going on right now. And essentially what happens is, like you said, super easy. Turn on my computer, this app pops up, type in my information. I go in there, a screen comes up, and it tells me that my computer processing power is being used to calculate something. And I can't remember what it's calculating right now, but it's basically scientific problems and issues in the world that require large computation from data from a computer. Then they kind of do it on your computer. You download these problems, you solve them, and it sends them back up, and it loads your computer up with Boid, essentially, right? Can you kind of, how would you simplify what exactly your computer is being used to solve, like how exactly it works, sure, and how exactly that transaction takes place?
Well, it's important to note that Boid is not just distributed science projects, but with tokenization. Distributed science projects is like a big, important part of the project. But if you don't care about science, you just want to make money on the platform, you don't really have to participate in this stuff. I hope that you do. And there's a lot of incentives designed to make it fun for people to interact with these things. But basically, the project is in alpha, and so we are proving things and changing things a lot. Right now, we're partnered with World Community Grid, which is an IBM project. And what they do is they partner with scientists, and scientists that are researchers that are trying to solve some really big, difficult problems that requires a large amount of computing resources. They take these computing problems, they break them down into work units, which can be run on a normal computer. Those work units get distributed by their servers. We connect to their servers, and we manage, the running and the returning of the results of those work units. And then we credit the user's contributions with the Boid token. Within the next month or so, you'll be able to redeem your earnings kind of like within in any crypto you want. We'll have like an integrated exchange basically, or not any crypto, but like a big crypto that has liquidity. And also we will have the ability for you to delegate a percentage of your earnings towards important nonprofits. And we're going to have basically these big charity drives. So right now we just have like 2 leaderboards, the team leaderboard and the user leaderboard, but we'll also have like the charity pool leaderboard and all these other kinds of ways. And where I'm getting with all this stuff is actually like there's kind of a bigger scheme behind why we have the kind of philanthropic and science stuff in here with all the crypto stuff. And basically that comes from me studying the existing volunteer distributed computing communities like SETI at home and Folding at home. And I looked at like, why are people just volunteering their computing power for free? What is the thing that really motivates them? And I basically took the things that motivate those communities, which I defined as basically tribalism and vanity. And I integrated those things into the Boid experience with cryptocurrency. So we're kind of trying to, so we got greed in there too as well, right? So we're just trying to like tap into base instincts and get people interacting with things that they believe in. And it also makes it very, it makes it easier for you to explain it and to share it with people outside of the cryptocurrency space. So instead of saying like, hey, you should run this thing, your computer will print money. They'll be like, oh, this sounds like a scam. It's like, hey, we're trying to raise money for this charity, or hey, we're trying to, we're going to put 100,000 hours into helping computers do cancer research. That's a lot more kind of accessible to a general audience. And we want people to come for different reasons and stay for other reasons. That's the goal.
I think that's beautiful. And I think a lot of people, I really do. Honestly, the fact that you've got that socioeconomic impact in there, that people can use their computer, and we'll get into it a little bit more here in a bit, but you can use your computer, to either mine cryptocurrency or to do something that actually changes the world, like solve complex problems that are making a real difference in the world. And you can take your proceeds and if you want to keep them, you can keep them. You can redeem them in various cryptocurrencies, which we'll get into a little bit, or you can just donate them to a cause. So I think it's really cool. Now, a lot of people have said, well, the first thing that I generally hear about your project is people say, it sounds like Gollum. But I think, as we kind of spoke about previously, there's probably some differences between yourself and Gollum and how you're going about it. A lot of that boils down to the approachability aspect. Do you want to kind of delve into that a little bit?
Absolutely. This is a pretty common question. People were trying to kind of fit us in with the existing decentralized computing projects that are out there. We, especially in a very big sense, that is true. Boid will have our own kind of decentralized computing infrastructure. However, that is not the goal kind of like in the short to midterm, because for us, we really see the most value in the kind of community and the ideology behind these things. And we're more interested in solving the kind of social problems than the hard technical problems. I think that there's a lot of incredibly smart people in this space that are solving very difficult technical problems. There's not enough people that are solving the kind of user experience and branding issues. So that's why we have a centralized app that relies on a centralized API. It's like, because we don't need decentralization to achieve our goals. But we do need decentralization to achieve our long-term goals. So over the next, 6 to 24 months, you'll see different pieces of the Boid platform become smart contracts on EOS. And eventually we will just be our own side chain, and we'll just be using the cross blockchain communication to communicate with the Boid or with the EOS main chain. Absolutely. So that's the big vision. And it starts with a fun little leaderboard running on my server, so
I'm there. I'm actually a part of that. I totally get what you're trying to say. And I understand, I've spoken about a couple of side chains as well. And these aren't necessarily they're not a bad thing. Like, you're going to plug up the network ultimately if you have a bunch of dApps running. And I think that doing what you're doing and what you're planning on doing kind of serves the purpose. But I want to throw it into your hands to kind of explain why you wouldn't just operate on EOS long term.
It's totally possible that the economics will make sense for us to do that. But like Dan Larimer said in one of his recent interviews, or might have been one of the articles he wrote, he was talking about how the side chains will solve the RAM problem because it essentially is kind of like moving out to the country. So the EOS main chain is like the big city. And as the big city gets more crowded, it gets more expensive. Yep. So the side chain thing is just kind of an assumption that the main chain is going to be pretty crowded, and we don't necessarily need all of the infrastructure for everything that we're doing. So the things that need to be on the main chain will be, but a lot of the kind of busy work could be on our own chain. So also, there's certain things that the EOS main chain isn't really designed to do that we want to do. For example, we want to have master nodes that will be responsible for getting information into the blockchain. And Dan Larimer has talked about this, kind of block producers doing this. And it's possible that we could have the regular EOS block producers, performing these tasks. But it makes a lot more sense to have kind of a dedicated incentive structure for our own community. So there's a lot of that's a pretty good answer. I could keep going, but yeah.
No, it's good. I like it, man. I can tell you're passionate about it. I think before we head on any further, I'm going to ask you the burning question that I know you get all the time. Why Boid? B-O-I-D. Why Boid?
I think it is a really cool name because it's kind of like Google in the sense that it seems like a strange word that you've never heard of before. And then you kind of realize, oh, it actually kind of makes sense. It has a meaning. So Boid is, and actually, if you talk to someone who has computer science or computer graphics background, they are like, oh yeah, I already know what Boid means, but most people don't, right? So Boid was kind of invented in the 90s, and the concept is basically simulating kind of groups of entities in such a way that each entity is only really aware of its immediate surroundings. So the logic of each individual point in the system is very simple. And if you just put one of these entities down, it's not really very interesting. But when you put 100 or 1,000 of these entities in one space and you have them interacting, suddenly you have these kind of emergent properties, emergent patterns that come out of those interactions. And to me, that has always been what blockchain is about. A node of a blockchain is very simple. It just does very simple things. But the interaction of kind of the human that's running the node and the interaction of the nodes in talking to each other creates emergent value. So that's what I want people to feel when they're part of the system, like they are one part of some big important thing. Yeah.
It is a DAC, right? So for anybody who doesn't understand what DAC is, decentralized autonomous community, which means that It's going to move to voting rights. The stakeholders become part of the community itself. You want to kind of chat about that a little bit? I don't know if it's something that's going to happen off the bat or if that's something that's going to come into fruition. But it's
not a priority right now, but it's probably going to be something that we implement during the beta. Yeah. And basically, there's going to be more and more. There's going to be more and more smart contracts that give Boid holders the ability to kind of govern how the infrastructure works and the priorities of the platform as well. So we want the way that I see it is that the Boid token will be very useful if you care about Boid. You will be staking it. You'll be using it for a variety of functions on the platform.
Do you want to dive into some of those functions? I know that the project is well under development. We've got an alpha going. I've got my Boid running on this computer right now, and I'm still able to talk to you. No issues.
All right, that's good.
Got it running on my laptop. Everything's good. But
cool.
Do you want to kind of talk about? Let's kind of get into some of the rewards that you have right now and some of the potential rewards that you might be bringing in later. Can you speak about that a little bit? The Boid token.
Rewards?
Yeah, I'm just referring to, I see on your website that it can be redeemed. The Boid token can be staked, of course, but it can also be redeemed for things. I'm assuming one of those is going to be cryptocurrency and through blockchain interoperability. You're going to be able
to. So, I mean, it'll be tradable on exchanges. There's going to be a lot of DEXs on EOS, and we're talking to some exchange partners, so that's kind of a given. It's going to have kind of a built-in inflation with mineability. So that's kind of an interesting thing but that won't be implemented for a while. I feel like there's a lot of platforms that try to say that they have a utility token when really it's just used to like buy things on the platform. Or something. So, that's not really that like, oh, we'll have like a marketplace where you can buy a Boid t-shirt with your Boid tokens. It's just like, it's not really that valuable. It's not that interesting to me. Yeah. But we are actually, and also like, if you don't care about Boid, like if you just want to run software and get paid in EOS or Bitcoin, that's fine. You don't have to use our token at all. But we're going to have lots of cool, basically like the account that you're using right now is what we call like a free account. It doesn't really have kind of many options, but if you stake like a certain number of Boids, it's going to unlock more kind of technical options in the app. We call it a pro account. Also the pro account is going to allow you to customize, like if you are contributing computing resources towards, like if you're contributing your hard drive space and you're earning storage coin on our platform, by default, we are trading that storage coin back into something that's more liquid for you. But if you have like a pro account, then you could just receive that storage coin directly. So maybe you're interested in holding on to that long term or something like that.
Yeah, I won't be selling any of my tokens. That's for sure. I think cool. I really won't. I love what you guys are doing for a lot of reasons. I think it's super cool. I think it has some great social implications. Mm-hmm. I'm using the alpha right now, which is actually the private alpha. We're not even onto the public alpha yet, and I was super happy that I got an opportunity to do so. How is the alpha going for you guys so far? I think a lot of people forget that it is an alpha and what an alpha is.
Yeah. Well, the alpha that you're running is actually the public alpha. We did run a private alpha earlier this year. So that's why, there might've been some confusion there, but, sorry, what was your question? I missed that.
My question was, here's where I'm getting at. I hear I see a lot of people supporting you guys, picking you up, and then I also see you getting slammed in your Discord where people don't quite understand that the purpose of an alpha is to build an alpha so you can work up.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Are you guys getting killed or how you doing? How you holding up?
Honestly, I've seen way worse. This is nothing. And there's much worse to come, so there's going to be, like people calling you a scam, people tearing your stuff apart.
It's all good fun, right?
It's just part of it's just, if you put yourself out there, then people are going to try and knock you down. So I just kind of stick to my guns, stick to my my gut instinct, and try to adapt and move quickly.
I love it.
And I think that basically, like right now, it is a trusted setup. And if you don't like that, then come back in a few months.
Yeah, agreed. And I understand why you have set it up that way based on our previous conversation. And I see you guys, I think most people in the alpha, like they get it, they understand. But of course, there's always kind of the other crowd, which doesn't, but I love what you guys are doing. I think that it's super interesting. So I guess my next question is, I know you're still doing some things and there's certain things you're not allowed to talk about, but is there anything that you can drop us, something new on kind of some future developments, maybe that you haven't spoken about before or that you haven't really chatted about? Give us something juicy here to run with.
I will say you definitely want to be a registered user and in our Discord this week, because we're going to be announcing some contests and some ways that you can earn Boid and interact with it and kind of get, embedded in the community more.
Awesome. So for anybody who doesn't have that, I'm going to post that below. I am on the Discord. I am, of course, participating in the public alpha. I love the idea. And I think that your website is really, really well done. I don't know who did the explainer video, but it's just, it's tapping into that market that you're talking about. You're trying to make it approachable. And I spoke about a couple other apps, like the kind of apps that my mom would use. Somebody like sent her a link and said like, hey, check this out. You can compute data and donate your proceeds to charity. It's super easy to sign in, super easy to use. You don't have to be a programmer. It's very approachable. It's well designed. So I would also recommend that people go over and check out your website, because I love the way it's laid out. I think it answers a lot of questions. I understand you guys are working on some final touches. Your website reads kind of like a white paper, but you guys are working on some finalizations for your white paper. When do you think that'll be up and running?
We'll have our first version of the white paper this month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about where people can find you. We've talked about what Boid is. We talked about your mission. I guess the last thing I'm going to ask you is, in a perfect world, you're 2 years down the road. Where are you? What's happening with Boid? What does it become? And what has it developed into? We're talking ideally.
Yeah. I mean, Boid should be the gateway for most people to enter into cryptocurrency. It's the lowest barrier to entry possible for a person to have cryptocurrency for the first time. They don't have to open their wallet. And Boid is a powerful way for community influencers, anyone that has a community, to kind of interact with their community and other communities as well. So like, say for example, like on Twitter, maybe you're an underdog, but on Boid, you've got the computing power to kind of beat out the other guy, right? And then you can go back on Twitter and be like, yeah, it's great that you like to talk about trading all the time, but we actually are doing real stuff, on the Boid platform, come at me, right? So I want to see this kind of organic competitive spirit running on the Boid platform. I want Boid to be like a tool set for people like you to kind of engage with your growing audience over time. So
I love it.
And that's why we have that's kind of another part of building that is this idea of the teams, which I didn't really dive into that deeply, but basically there's a lot of concepts in Boid that are kind of like an analogy to the cryptocurrency space. So like a Boid team is like a super node. So basically you need a large number of Boids in order to stake to like maintain a team. And what you get out of that is whoever is the team leader can kind of earn a percentage of whatever that team brings in. So we see it as being another revenue source for kind of community influencers, and all that stuff is going to be rolling out fairly soon. So stay tuned for sure.
I will, 100%. You don't have to sell me, man. You already sold me. I'm in the alpha. I'll be in the beta. I'll be there long after that. I love what you guys are doing. I love the thought you put into it. I love the fact that you made it approachable. So before we say our goodbyes here and sign off, and I'm hoping that we get to do this again really, really soon because you're a pleasure to talk. I love what you guys are doing. Is there anything else that you want to tell the community about or say to the community, or even just kind of a parting thought to give some people something to chew on?
I think we covered a lot. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. If this sounds interesting to you at all, then, I mean, you go check out the website, because the website is pretty comprehensive. It is kind of like a fun to read white paper.
Yes, I agree. Once again, John, I want to really sincerely take the time to say thank you for you to come on here and just have a chat and talk to us a little bit about what Boid is. I think Boid is up there in my top favorite things currently happening on the EOS platform. I would be very surprised if that's going to change at all. I think you guys are onto something really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing everything kind of develop as we go. So thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we can do it again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Matt.
Okay, take care, John. See you soon.